hey, you guys got in a full game, and the guys really in the second half played exceptionally well.
We did, and we talked about it. We weren't happy at halftime, and I pulled those kids together on the field and told them how displeased I was with our lack of composure in the first half. That was our big deal, just lack of composure, getting in the moment, and it almost looked like a panic mode again, where we looked like a bunch of sophomores, and we kind of brought them back down to reality and played really well in the second half, made some adjustments, and then it just turned into us physically being able to dominate up front and run. I think we ran 2 or 3 plays in the second half and just control the game from there on out.
Yeah, I thought there were, obviously a couple things that really, turned the game, and one of the big ones, obviously, was them being able to get away from whatever the chippiness was or whatever was going on. It certainly seemed like there was probably a lot of talking going back and forth between the two teams, and you can have that little extra and that little, that drive or that edge to it, but when you start committing penalties, that's a different story.
Yeah, we talked to our kids about having some swagger and having some confidence, and it's a group of kids that hasn't had a lot to be confident about in a while. And we talked to them, you got to play like that. And everything we do, we got to carry ourselves with a little bit of swagger about us. But when it starts to affect how we're playing on a Friday night, then we have an issue with it. And so we toned them down. And they just got refocused and started doing what we planned to do all week. And you saw how when we executed it, it was an okay game plan and had success. But we had some dumb things that happened in the first half, shoot ourselves in the foot and kill drives and let them continue drives, and it was just a rough first half and a whole lot of frustration. But our kids did a great job of rallying back in the second half and just playing the kind of football that we want to play.
And it was a 28-point game, but certainly there were a lot of turning points. I think that was clearly part of it, but there were a couple of plays, obviously, that didn't go their way that could have made it more interesting, or you guys stepped up and made a big play. And to me, that's the difference between the football team that we see in the last 2 years and the football team we've seen so far this season, is guys being able to to make plays and maybe avoid the mistake or two.
Yeah, we talked to our kids. The most important play is the next play, and so there's going to be good things happen and bad things happen throughout the course of a game, and we got to be able to bounce back and continue to play no matter if it was good or bad. And our kids did a good job of that in the second half. We did not in the first half, and we let things kind of snowball into effect. And especially offensively, I thought defensively we played okay in the first half. It wasn't great. I mean, we gave a touchdown that probably shouldn't have given up, but offensively we had some chances, and we just kept shooting ourselves in the foot, doing idiotic things basically, whether it was controlling our emotions or getting a dumb penalty up front. But we bounced back. We had some things go our way, and they, fortunately for us, had some things that didn't go their way and dropped a couple of balls when we blew some coverages. But our kids never panicked. They never hit the panic mode button in that second half, and it showed at the end of the game.
Yeah, and the adjustments, I thought, defensively, the adjustments, there were a couple times that players got behind you guys in the secondary. I didn't really think I saw that much in the second half, and they were still trying to chuck the ball down the field, and you guys were doing a better job of not letting those plays happen in the second half.
Yeah, and that's a credit to our defensive kids and our staff, but we didn't really change a whole lot in the secondary. Yeah. In that second half, it's just our kids had to get refocused and play and understand the mistakes they have, and that's a big thing that we have now is we have the technology to show them actual footage as it goes on of what they're doing wrong and where their eyes are and how their eyes are on the wrong key or whatever it is. But our kids bounced back. Staff did a good job, and we were happy. I mean, there was a big crowd out there. It was a fun atmosphere. We got to play 4 quarters.
Yeah.
So we've got 5 quarters in the book so far this year. Yay us. But yeah, and we had to readjust our kids, and they came back in Saturday morning. We lifted, we ran, we stretched, and we did a film session and got back to the grind and get ready for Santa Teresa on Monday.
And also, I mean, obviously you have to look at the offense, and the big thing is the line, and also the way that Sean Hayes ran the football. You guys did a lot of things I know you've been wanting to do the last couple of seasons to play power football, and you really got to do that on Friday.
We did, and that's where we kind of took over in the second half, is just controlling the game. And eventually he's going to pop one, and he popped a couple of big ones. But he had a heck of a night, rushed for 200-some yards. But the credit goes to those 6-7 dudes, and we got into a lot of 2 tight sets to kind of balance them up. Those 7 dudes up front did a great job of creating space and letting him be an athlete and make plays.
Yeah, it was very impressive. So we'll obviously go into this week and see Santa Teresa, who they're a little bit down from last year. They had a great season last year, but obviously don't have maybe the same personnel in some spots that they did, but still a team that is going to give you guys a real good challenge on Friday night.
Yeah, they are. They're 2-0. They're well coached. That Coach Vieira's done a great job in that program over the last 12 years he's been there of establishing that's a tough place to win football games at and to build a football program at in a culture down there, and he's done a great job, and they've had a lot of success the last couple of years. And unfortunately, they graduated about 10 seniors last year up front offensively, and so they're struggling a little bit, but they still show signs of brilliance and they're doing some new wrinkles and stuff to try to let their kids make plays, and that's credit to their coaching staff and that program they build. Defensively, they're pretty dang good. I mean, they got some kids coming back. They got a linebacker, number 22, Sam Flores, who might be one of the better ones we see the entire year. He's a player.
And, I mean, for you guys, offensively, I know that you'd like to be able to run the football and keep doing the same thing that you do. I mean, are you guys wanting to see a little bit more from your passing game? Because you haven't had – I mean, I know you had the long touchdown play and the long pass play in the first game, but, we haven't really seen a whole lot of the pass offense.
Yeah, we've got to continue to get better at that, and we got to be able to stretch defenses vertically and horizontally. And we've got to do that up front with our quarterback and our skill kids. And we got in this situation last week where we just wanted to turn it into a fist fight and show that we're the more physical team. And so we didn't want to chunk it a lot in the second half and just run the football and kind of set the tone. And that was more of setting the tone, not just to win that game, but the tone for the rest of the year of what we're going to do physically is try to line up and get after people and that we can. But we definitely got to get better in the pass game. We had some dumb things that we did, not hitting the receiver on time, not reading the right route through our progression. And those things that we take our quarterback in and our receivers and go over, and we do that daily on film.
Defensively, I mean, you said that there really weren't much adjustments. It was just doing the right things on defense for the kids. So far, I mean, are you liking everything that you see, or are there bits and pieces that you guys feel like you really need to improve as the season goes on?
We've always got to get better, but our kids play hard. Our kids, and that's the part we love about us. And that's a translation of our defensive staff and the excitement and the energy they bring is how hard they play. But there's always things that we still got to get better at. We were out there at practice today this morning, and we got guys not fitting in the right hole or doing things that we're constantly coaching at. So there's always room for improvement defensively. But I like the energy we bring and the tenacity that we're going to fly to the football. That was one of the most important things that we saw on Friday is they're stringing stuff out, and we got 6-7 guys with black hats running the football. And that's a huge deal for us is get kids running around swarming to the football.
Special teams, obviously, Brett looked good in the extra points that he got to try, but still some issues. I mean, we saw a bad snap in the opening game. Obviously, a field goal block in this last one. There was a bad snap again. So, I mean, I'm sure, again, there's a place.
Yeah, those are things we talk to our kids immediately about. Those things will end up biting us in the butt eventually in the long run if we don't clean those up. And that's one of those things. We send our snappers and holders out there before the game, and we do that every day as they go out there and get it, and that's just one of those. The bad snap was probably on the holder. Should have caught snap, made a play. That's what he's there to do, and he didn't get it down. The block field goal is just a kid not being engaged and lack of focus in that situation and not doing his right technique. But Brett had a good night, especially kickoffs. Man, they run the starburst, and we just told him just kick in that yellow thing back there and make him do that one signal we like, and we're good with it.
Yeah, yeah. Don't open it up. And that was definitely last year. Especially when Brett got hurt. Kick coverage was definitely a challenge for you guys at times, so to not have to worry about that's got to be a huge bonus.
And special teams are a huge facet in the game. We focus on them daily. We go through 2 facets every day, and then we go over it all again and go live again on Thursday. But it's a huge thing we don't take for granted. We got to make plays on and do things, and having a kid like Brett in your pocket that can go and kick it in the end zone and where you don't have to cover as many kicks is a nice thing. He kicked one off last week from the 35 and got a touchback out of it. So, yeah. I mean, that's a huge luxury that a lot of schools in this state or in this country don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on it. Obviously, it was one of the better crowds I've seen at Tiger football in a while. It was homecoming, but still, the home side crowd felt like it was almost packed, and there was a lot in the away. And I can tell by how packed it is by where people are trying to park out on Cuba and Canyon here where we're at and stuff like that. And it's good to see that. Obviously, you want to encourage people to get back out again this week.
I do. We made it was a huge crowd for us, and part of it was being a local thing and being homecoming. But we want those people to come back out. I hope they enjoyed watching our kids perform and seeing the growth. We have kids from last year that played for us that come up to me. He's like, "Man, Coach, there's a lot of growth in just 1 year from last year. It's impressive." And that's just part of that program, taking culture and taking time to develop and set in. Had a great crowd. We had a great student section again. Had a couple of complaints about student section, which I love. I love it when people say kids are too loud. We love that. But it was fun. I heard the line went out the gate down to the road to get in at one point. And that's what this community needs to buy into. That's what Friday nights need to be. Is we need to expect those lines to get in at 5:30 or get here at 6 and know that that's the only thing going on Friday night. We want people here and be a part of our program and just they're as much a part of what we do in the community in the stands as what we do on the field.
Yeah, and it was actually a weekend where you guys weren't the only show in town on Friday, and people were still showing out.
Yeah, and it's special. That's what this community can do, and that's the special part about being in a one-school town is those community people rally around it, and it's a fun atmosphere. Our kids absolutely enjoyed it. We're excited to have another 4,000 or 5,000 people out there again on Friday night. It's definitely a home field advantage compared to where other schools play at and how many people go to their games. And when it's loud and rocking, it's a blast, and it's a fun atmosphere that our kids don't get to see all the time. And it's experiences that they won't get to have the rest of their life. High school football is a different deal, and once it's done, and our kids can't go back to it. So we want to encourage everybody to come back out, come watch our kids, come support our kids, come be proud to be a Tiger and wear the black and gold.
Yeah, and just a reminder, I mean, there's a limited amount of home games in the regular season. There's only 3 more left, so not many more opportunities to get out and watch Tiger football this year. So, Coach, appreciate it, and good luck on Friday.
Charles.